In this video, I'm going to do a few extra practice problems on task 7 and 8. So this will be all on triangles. A lot of it is focused on the information from task 8. There's a few problems that have to do with isosceles triangles, and that is task 7. So we're going to look at a few problems of finding angle measures given either an isosceles triangle or an equilateral triangle. So this first one, if the vertex angle of a triangle is 100, and it should say, let me just add this, it should be an isosceles triangle, or else you wouldn't be able to do this problem. But because it says vertex, that usually implies it's isosceles, but all the problems should specifically say that it's actually isosceles. So going back to the problem, it says if the vertex angle of an isosceles triangle is 100, what is the measure of the base angle of each base angle? So you can draw a picture of an isosceles triangle. So remember, an isosceles triangle has two congruent sides, and the angle that's between the two congruent sides is called the vertex angle. So this is the vertex angle here, and the measure of that is 100. And so we want to find the measure of these two base angles. And remember, for an isosceles triangle, the two base angles are congruent. So these two angles are equal. So you can kind of do it two ways. You could set up an algebraic equation by calling what we're missing x, and therefore this angle is equal to that one, so it is also x. And then we always know that the three angles in a triangle add up to 180, so you could do 100 plus x equals 180, and then solve it. So it'd be 100 plus 2x equals 180. We would subtract 100 from both sides. So we'd have 2x equals 80. And then we would divide both sides by 2 and have x equals 40. If you are not an algebra person and can figure it out without algebra, that's perfectly fine as well. The other way you could do is say, okay, my triangle adds up to 180. I know one of the angles is 100, so I could subtract out that 100 to see how much I get, which would be 80. And then I know that these two angles have to add up to 80 and they have to be equal. So because they have to be equal, I can just divide 80 by 2 and then I would get 40. And so the base angle would be 40 degrees. Okay, so that's two different ways to solve that one. So number 2 is similar. It says if a base angle of an isosceles triangle is 50, what is the measure of the other two angles? Okay, so this one is slightly different. But again, we have an isosceles triangle, but we're given a base angle. Okay, so we're given one of the angles down here. And remember, these two angles again are equal. So I'm told this is 50. And as soon as I know that's 50, what you should do is mark the other angle that we know, which is this other base angle is also 50. Okay, so now we're just missing this top vertex angle. So it says, what is the measure of the other two angles? So we know that the other base angle is automatically 50 degrees because they're equal. To find this other angle, well, we know, again, a triangle adds up to 180. So you could do it again. That first way is call this missing angle x, and you could do x plus 50 equals 180, sorry, because the triangle adds up to 180. So that's x plus 100 equals 180. And then if you subtract 100, you get 80. Okay, or again, and this is for the vertex angle. Okay, or to get the vertex angle, the other way is again just to go, I mean, some of you might be able to just look at it and figure it out, but you could say, okay, I have 50 plus 50, which is 100, and I can do 180 minus 100, and then I'm left with 80, and that would be my vertex angle. Okay. So again, these are two problems with isosceles triangles. You could either be given the base angle or the vertex angle. So just pay attention to what the question is giving you and what they're asking you for. So question 3 says, if the measure of an angle of an equilateral triangle is 2x plus 5, what is the value of x? Okay, so let's draw an equilateral triangle. Okay, an equilateral triangle means that all the sides are equal. And if all the sides are equal, we also know that all the angles are equal. And so again, there's multiple ways to set this up. One way is that we know, okay, that all the angles are 2x plus 5. So I could say this angle is 2x plus 5, this angle is 2x plus 5, and this angle is 2x plus 5. And then I could add those three angles together and set it equal to 180. This is a little bit of the longer way, but it's a valid way to do it. So we combine our like terms. So we have 2 plus 2 plus 2, which is 6x, plus we have 5 plus 5 plus 5, which is 15, equals 180. Okay, we would subtract 15 from both sides, and we get 6x equals 165. And then we would divide both sides by 6, and we get x equals 27.5. So that's one way. The easier way probably is to remember that if it's an equilateral triangle, all the angles are equal. And that means that all the angles are 60, because if you take 180 and you divide it by 3, you get 60 degrees, okay? Because they're all three are equal, we can take 180 and divide it by 3. And therefore we know 2x plus 5 has to equal 60. And then we have 2x equals, we subtract 5 and get 55. And then we do 55 divided by 2, which is also 27.5. So these are the problems from task 7. And then I'll make a separate video for the other problems that are about task 8.